today we're rolling out a new Cybersecurity National Action Plan, or CNAP, to address short-term and long-term challenges when it comes to cybersecurity. My budget includes more than $19 billion for cybersecurity, which is up by more than 1/3. And with this plan, we intend to modernize federal IT by replacing and retiring outdated systems that are vulnerable to attack. And I just want to say, as an aside here, one of the biggest gaps between the public sector and the private sector is in our IT space, and it makes everybody's information vulnerable.
President Obama obviously believes he is doing his absolute best to protect America from a facet of invasion this country has been horribly ineffective against, looking to spend $19 billion in one fiscal year to keep American businesses and consumers safe, along with increasing our ability to stop serious hackers and 13-year-old kids with too much time on their hands from getting our bank codes. He may believe it, but there's a few things he missed, and in the end could be just wasting our cash again with very little to show for it. Let's welcome back the chairman and founder of Identity Theft 911 and Credit.com, author of the recent book Swiped: How to Protect Yourself in a World Full of Scammers, Phishers, and Identity Thieves. Adam Levin joins us on the show. Adam, it's a pleasure to see you again, but let's dig a little bit deeper here, shall we? $19 billion, and the president talks about outdated systems. Adam, you and I have been talking about outdated systems for more than a year on this show. I've seen it for at least 5 years. Is this a Band-Aid in many ways that's simply just going to get us to the next step while we wander around in the dark trying to figure out how to stop these guys?
Well, no, I don't think it's a Band-Aid. By the way, good evening to you. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention to you that the acronym CNAP could also be standing for C, we're no longer napping. But the problem we've really had for so long is that the U.S. government didn't take this seriously. This president has been trying to drag the government along. This political campaign for the presidency, cybersecurity is still an issue that seems to be among the missing, other than let's go get those varmints. And so we have to continue the process we've started. Now, we had the cybersecurity sprint, the 30-day sprint. You and I kept asking the question, why are we sprinting after decades of limping? I mean, we need to do more. We have to understand it's a marathon. There are parts of this plan that are very good. Finally, having a chief information security officer for the U.S. government, I think, is an important thing. Having money to upgrade systems. I mean, there were some people that said there were some systems in the IRS that dated back to the Kennedy administration. I mean, my gosh, what are they doing?
Well, let me talk about that specifically with regard to one word then, Adam, because as pointed out by a couple of people, Wired magazine actually pointed this out, that not once did the president in his statement or anywhere in this bill they can find it mention the word encryption. Not even once. Is it not fair to say that that's a real key here? Because the encryption systems are the things that people keep defeating and we keep losing on. That's got to be a focal point here, yes?
No, encryption should be a focal point. But of course, remember now there's this big debate about the government being able to get a key to encryption systems. But yes, we have not heard enough about encryption at all in this country, that if you look at the lot of breaches that occurred just since 2015, first with the Office of Personnel Management, what was missing? Encryption. With all of the big healthcare insurers where over 100 million social security numbers have been exposed, what was the word that was missing? Encryption. So encryption definitely has to be part of it. Now, whether that's going to be part of what the Cybersecurity Commission talks about and recommends, or what the Privacy Council is going to recommend, or what part of the upgrade of the systems that encryption is going to be part of it, or if two-factor authentication. Remember, it only really works two-factor authentication if encryption is also part of the mix.
And what you're also pointing out here is just what we really need, Adam. More commissions, more people, more talk, more people spending years to go ahead and look at this before anything actually gets done. Look, I got about 60 seconds left here. Adam, is there anybody, and
yes,
you're exactly right, the candidates are not talking about this. Is there anybody on the candidate side that you see that may actually have a handle on this? Or are they just clueless about it and they're just throwing anything they want in the space to make us think they know what the hell they're talking about?
Well, I think the whole issue is that they just don't see it as a front burner issue, which is insanity to me, especially when you're talking about building a wall as opposed to a firewall. We need a firewall as well as if you're going to talk about how do we better protect the borders of this nation, then we really need to have as a key component of that conversation the erection, the equivalent of erecting a cyber dome, which we know is not completely possible, but we have to give more focus on the issue. It also has to be public-private sector cooperation.
Exactly.
I mean, we have some of the greatest minds in the world in Silicon Valley. As opposed to everybody fighting with each other, we should be working together.
And you're making a great point, too, because we keep talking about a wall on one border. We need a wall around this country in the cyber systems. That's where a lot of problems can come from and cost us an awful lot in money and lives. Adam Levin, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news, The Hardline, continues.